Hey everybody, welcome to the Everyday Mom Challenge. I wanted to make a quick video because we have just finished our week of AP exams and I want to share with you what worked and what didn't. Okay, so you know we homeschool. I have a 9th grader and I purchased this set of books. So this is the Princeton Review. I purchased one for Earth and Environmental Science, Psychology, and Microeconomics. And of course the one you see here, which is the World History. This is the one that we have left. It's next week. But I want to talk with you about what occurred last week when Solomon went in to take his test. Well, first, you know, this is our first AP experience. With him being in 9th grade, even though I teach in the public schools, I've never been trained with any of the AP training. I've never went to any AP workshops. You know, in fact, my degrees are in special education and my certifications are in special education, K-12 and English, 9-12. So no AP for this girl. When I was back in high school, which was a very long time ago, the senior year at my high school, we got our first AP class, and we didn't even have textbooks. And I don't even remember anybody even talking to us or pushing me to take that AP exam. I didn't even take the exam. But I do remember taking the class. So that's about as much experience that I have had, especially with some of these topics too. So when we registered for his spring classes with our homeschool advising, we knew that he was going to take 2 electives, and then every year he's going to keep the same exact format. He's going to take math and English in the fall. So that way when January comes around, he'll pick up an SAT. That way the math will be completely done, and then he'll walk into an SAT testing environment, which is going to be, you know, overload math for him. And then in the spring, he'll do his 2 electives, and then he'll do his histories and his sciences. So those will be the 2 cores that he'll be doing. So we picked psychology because he talked about maybe wanting to be a psychiatrist or therapist in the future. After he took this class, he said, "Mama, if I ever show any interest again in psychology, can you please be very concerned that an alien or AI has taken over my body and my brain?" So he learned that just wasn't an interest anymore for him, which that's what high school's all about, right? Taking these classes, seeing what works and what doesn't. So that was one thing that didn't work. Another thing that didn't work, we signed up for microeconomics because he's interested in economics, financial, accounting, all of those kind of things. So we took that as one of his business electives, which is all great. He's taken the course, he has studied, he's worked hard. But then we found out that nowhere locally was given the micro AP exam. So I'm like, okay, we'll just clip it over the summer. No worries, no stress. So we found a community college that's going to let him do a clip on that. And it's actually, that one ended up being cheaper than the AP test because, of course, you know, as homeschoolers, we have to pay for everything. And that one was cheaper. So even though it didn't work with the AP, it's still going to work with the clip. But he's got to wait until after we get all this stuff done, and then I get out of school, and then I'll schedule him time to go to the community college and take the clip. So let's talk about what worked. For the AP Psychology, we went online and we found, first I ordered the books off of Amazon, and I have an earlier video that shows all of the different textbooks that I ordered. They came recommended from the College Board, so check out the College Board websites. They're very helpful. They'll tell you which tests need calculators, the times, all of that. Okay, but I felt like these books were the lifesavers for us. Because I had never had any AP training and I didn't kind of know what the AP test was going to look like and how the testing structure of the questions were going to be, just all of that basic test taking strategy stuff that they do need to know with the content. These books provided that. So I highly recommend everybody to get these Princeton review sets. I'm going to get them until he graduates high school, because he's going to be taking 2 AP classes every spring. So he's going to pick up an elective and a science AP every spring. So his strengths are in history and science. And I was like, how are we going to get through in a semester the study guide and the book? Well, guess what? We did it. We worked our pachukis off going through this material, but I didn't do any frivolous, busy work, project, worksheet mess. We read the content. We sat together. We Googled things we didn't know. He watched Bozeman science videos, which I highly recommend. It's AP videos that we found online just by luck. He watched those as supplements. He watched Crash Course for the history. He had online work through the free course audits from Harvard for the psychology. So that's how we paired everything together. And we just went through the content. We just read chapter by chapter by chapter, looked up, and his lab work was his garden, which we are extremely proud of. And we worked through different soil types. We've looked at different fertilizers. We've done a lot of research now on gardens, organics. So and when we got to that GMO chapter in that agriculture, we knew that next year one of his electives is going to be agri-science, because he is truly passionate about that. So that has worked, because it now has springboarded us to a new class for next year that is going to springboard off of this earth and environmental science. So he goes to take the test, and anybody has access to the schedule. So you go on College Board and it shows you when the tests are coming up. He walks in and he's around people he doesn't know, and I'm thinking, okay, how's his comfort level going to be? I stayed with him until it was time to, for everybody to do the drop-offs, and I'm like, you've got this. We were very positive. He had his little bag lunch, and I sent him on his way, and I went back to work. And when I went to pick him up that evening, because he had two tests, he had this look on his face. Well, one, he had this look, but then he was also smiling. So I'm like, okay, well, something's going on. He's happy, something. So he goes, Mama, I messed up on the first test. And I'm like, what do you mean you messed up? And he said, when it got to 10 minutes left, I was on question 91. And, there's 100 questions because the book tells you that. And he said, and I didn't code it on my answer sheet. I was circling in the book. So he was remembered back in public school a long time ago when he used to be in EOGs. He would work the book out and then he would transfer. Well, he learned that that is not the strategy to take because he ran out of time. So he didn't get to code all of his answers on his answer sheet. But it's sad because he felt very, very confident about his score. He knew what he made, like a high score. He said it. He's like, I knew that content. I knew that test. And he said that he felt extremely good about it, but it's not going to be reflective. But he said he learned his lesson. And when he went into the second test, the AP psychology test, that's when he knew he needed to go straight to the bubble sheet. And he bubbled everything, and he said he had time to spare. So he did learn his lesson. So we're going to take that one and just say, we'll chalk it up for 9th grade year. And he made an 88 in the class. So that's going to be his score on his transcript. But I know that he could have definitely had a higher score than probably what's going to come back in July on that Earth Environmental, just because he's left, half the score sheet blank because he didn't have time to code it. So if you've got babies that are about to take AP exams or going to be taking them in the future, let them learn from what happened with us And he was just glad I wasn't like, upset and all boo-hooing and fussing and all that. I mean, well, what was the point? My question back to him was, well, did you learn a lesson from it? And he was like, yeah, because I went into the next test and I knew how to handle the answer sheets. And I'm like, well, then great. You learned, you live a lesson. Some colleges don't take but 5 AP courses anyway. So next year he's going to take AP biology, and the year after that he's going to take AP chemistry. So how many sciences would he have probably been able to use? We're just going to use the one that has the highest score. After all, we do these. I did get a word of advice from a very intelligent lady that I respect. She's counseled a lot of high school students, and she said, always sign your kid up once they get on this AP track, even if the colleges don't take but the 5. Because there is one college that is a public university. It only takes 5, and she confirmed that. But she said, let them be the ones to decide that in admissions, not you as the homeschool parent. And let them go on and challenge themselves with that rigor. It'll help them and it won't hurt them. It'll prepare them more for college level material. They'll get through that work, and it'll be a great springboard for them for their freshman year of college, because they're so used to that content and the studying. So I really am heeding that advice. So next year we're going to do 2 more. So, but we won't do 4. We realized that maybe that was just a little too much. So we're going to do a core, and we're going to do an elective. So we're always going to do a science one, just because he wants to major in possibly political science, and they're not going to take any of it anymore after this one. After world history, the colleges aren't really going to take, colleges that he's looking at are not going to take any of the other, like U.S. history. They're not even going to count those. So I would suggest that you sit with your child. This is a lesson learned. You sit with your child, and you may go on Google Docs, have your child list their top 15 colleges that they're interested in, and go ahead and look at the AP charts and look at the minimum score requirement that they would require to get the credits. Go ahead and chart those out for the colleges. Look and see of which ones that multiple colleges will accept, and those are the ones that us mamas pay for, because the tests are like $100 a piece, and then you've got to take time off work, or you've got to go and make arrangements to get there and do all of that, and all of the pre-planning. And the textbooks, you have to purchase college textbooks, which are, $50. I got a used book, and I was lucky. I got one book for $50. But you have to purchase like these books, all the supplement materials. So just think about the ones that you really can benefit from. And it's really based on, the degree, and it's based on the colleges and what they will accept. So we started doing that kind of later. We kind of didn't do that at the beginning, which we should have. But we would have made a better informed choice definitely about that microeconomics. But to live and learn from that. And that's just some advice that I wanted to share with you guys. He left out of the psychology. Going into the psychology, he was a little concerned. Maybe a lot concerned. He was like, I'm not going to retain all of that information. That was just so much. It was like so many names and theories and brains and this and that. And he kept, worry about the psychology. Every week we would have one of these pep talks about AP psychology. And he actually said, Mama, I knew a lot more than I thought. And I was in there and I got it. So I was really proud of him. So I knew that one of the things that was really a blessing for him was the Princeton review book, because even the night before, and I did not tell him this, it was on a Sunday night, he stayed up really late. Well, they do have a little cuckoo schedule, but he stayed up really late. But he went through every one of the skill sections of the book by himself as a study review. And he just went over the terms and was going through the books, each chapter of the skill review of the AP Princeton review book. And he said that that really helped him the next day. So he had worked the whole book out, but then just that last minute kind of helped him. And we didn't do that with the earth and environmental. We did one of the last final exams in the book, and he only missed 12 on that one in the book, and he was like so proud. Like, we were like, okay, you've got this, you know this material. We did not practice a single essay. We did not. I didn't give him any essay tips because I honestly didn't know. Like, I just told him, you know, like anything, do the APES strategy like we teach in the public schools, where you would answer by restating the prompts, you know, give your assertion on that, and then you've got to prove it, use some of the evidence, use the vocabulary that you know. And I kept telling him, use a lot of that vocabulary that you're getting and what's all in the, you know, the prompts, and then explain it and just give like personal examples, give examples that you know from the news or from the book, and just really tie and weave things in nicely. And that's the only thing I said to him. We only talked about the essays on the way to the test. And I found on the College Board website, they had sample essays. So he read those for 45 minutes to the test. He read those all out. And he was like, okay, I got that. I see the process. Should I have done that earlier? Yes, I should have. So learn from that, even though it just worked out for us, because we'll find out in July, but he felt very confident. I just want to tell you guys that AP is possible for your children in homeschooling. And mamas, give yourself a little bit more credit, because you can do it. You just need to get the right resources, but you can do it. Even without an AP background and even without a content knowledge background, because I learned so much about fossil fuels and so much about nuclear power plants and all kinds of really cool, like irrigation and GMOs and electricity. It's like I learned so much in that earth and environmental. I honestly think that I could go into a science class right now and probably do a pretty good job teaching that science class. And you know, world history, like I've always loved world history, so learning through that, this stuff's been really cool. So I do think that this semester, now that it's over, one time he was like, I'm never taking AP again. And we had to get over that hump. We also had to get up, I'm just not smart enough for AP. You had to get over that hump. And now that it's done, he's now saying, okay, so let me think of some APs I want to take in the future. And he's the one that's now researching different ones and looking them up. So he's solid, he can do it. And I'm just very proud of him. So homeschool mamas, I suggest that you AP strategize with your kids and make it happen. You can do it. Even with Sam, he's in 4th grade right now. I passed along the science book to one of my teacher friends who actually teaches AP in the high school. But I kept the workbook, the textbook, because I said, well, even though he's got a while, who knows what textbooks they're going to be recommending at that point, and everything is going to be changing. I'm probably going to resell the textbook. Since it was a little pricey, I'm going to see how I could resell it and be like, I got to figure out a place I could do that at. So if anybody has any suggestions on how to like resell for homeschool purposes, that would be cool. So I just wish you guys all the luck, and I'm going to be making some internship videos on how to apply for internships, and we're going to do that one next. So I'll see you soon. Have a blessed one. Bye.